Ready for a box lunch? Nancy Giles certainly is.
With Captain Power videotapes, there are 3 different skill levels.
People have many memories of their childhood. The sights, smells, tastes, and emotions take you back to where it all began, and time flies as we're having fun. Today we'll look at 1970s memories you may have completely forgotten. We'll start out with orange shag carpeting everywhere.
First bit of advice about buying carpets is know your needs. Study a few basic decorating guides, then buy what you really like.
This style of carpet was a huge statement in the 70s, and every home was decorated with vibrant orange shag carpet that stretched out on the floor like a retro sunset. It was fun to be barefoot as a child, and felt like wading through a short tangled forest of fibers and curls where the little locks always seemed to hold on to something. You could find forgotten treasures deep inside those fibers, like crumbs of snacks, a missing earring, and maybe even some rice that had endured for a few weeks. It wouldn't only hold objects, it also saved your scent. So you could catch a whiff of the family barbecue from days ago, Mom's perfume which happened to spill on a place, and even the musty scent of a rainy day. Cleaning the shag was a bit of a problem because of the dense tufts. The fibers would hold on to secrets they weren't ready to share. But when all the vacuuming was done, there was no better place to roll around and wrestle as a child. The only thing more fun than playing on a shag carpet was playing Pong on an Atari while lying on it. Children were excited when they had permission to turn on the Atari, which was usually connected to a big television.
You're watching the most exciting game you will ever see on your TV set. Telstar by Coleco, with 3 different games.
The black and white visuals were basic, but it was always a spectacular experience. A simple game with 2 vertical paddles, one on each end of the screen. Players would use the controllers to hit a small square ball back and forth. It became a game of focus and precision. And for children, the beep of failure came with disappointed screams, while winning the game felt like you'd mastered the sport and were invincible. The only thing that brought you back to reality was the chastising call of either parent. As pop culture evolved, so did fashion.
But when you're 5 feet tall, you have to wear them.
I mean, I really don't think they're safe at all, but they're good fun.
And platform shoes in all colors were the coolest things you could wear. Rebellious, empowering, and nerve-wracking all at the same time, they made you stand out, adding extra inches onto your height. For women, long legs were the pinnacle of beauty, and platform shoes provided an edge. It came in all colors and sizes, perfect with bell-bottoms, and if you were really bold, you would match the shoes with a mini dress and knee-high socks, looking like something that had fallen out of a fashion magazine. Platform shoes were synonymous with the disco era, and anyone wearing anything different looked a little bit short. Navigating steps or slopes would be a problem, and you had to hold on to a friend to avoid falling over.
Do you think Charlie would look good in purple?
Since we've never seen him, how would we know?
When Charlie's Angels hit the big screen in September of 1976, it set a new record for entertainment on television. Watching Charlie's Angels was a rush, and fans enjoyed the iconic theme music, action sequences, and beautiful and glamorous angels, Farrah Fawcett, Jacqueline Smith, and Kate Jackson. They took their signatory angel-style poses and flipped their perfect hair. Farrah Fawcett's hairstyle became the gem of an era, and everybody wanted to look like her. It remains one of the classiest hairstyles to this day. Charlie's Angels depicted 3 women who were spies and hired by a top employer by the name of Bosley, who remained anonymous all throughout the season. The action-packed series was loved by both children and adults and gave girls crime-fighting role models to look up to. Pet rocks were arguably some of the most phenomenal products of the 1970s. Created by Gary Dahl, the idea of a rock as a pet went viral, and many bought into the madness.
And by Christmas, we'll have sold well over 1 million units. That kind of stuff just doesn't happen.
The idea was to have a companion requiring absolutely no maintenance. It didn't need to be fed, and it was independent. It had all the great qualities of a good pet and none of the disadvantages. People couldn't get enough of these googly-eyed rocks, and stacking pet rocks on your desk and using them for aesthetics was also a thing.
Well, I'm going to do what the book says, take it home and give it a lot of love and make a nice place for it in the kitchen.
They sold for $3.95 each, and over 1.5 million units were sold. While fans admired their obedient rock, it was hilarious purchasing a pet that you could pick off the ground or get a kindergarten child to make for free.
Now I have a lifelong friend!
The thrill of talking to strangers on CB radios and cool call signs on the open airwaves were fascinating things about road travel. Children loved to pretend they were communicating with each other on the CB radio.
Bearmaster's heading your way and stuck to his old tricks.
Inspired by movies like Smokey and the Bandit and others, the CB radio became a popular trend which allowed people to use creativity in creating cool communication. CB handles like Ladybug, Roadrunner, and Papa Bear were pretty common, and children could spend hours in their mobile stations making up communication slang while ending each sentence with over and out. Some of it was hilarious, while some was ridiculous, but it provided all the entertainment needed for a few hours. Remember those mood rings for tracking your feelings and how they made everyone believe emotions could be made by the color of the ring? The spooky fashion accessory was invented and became a quick hit at a time when self-awareness, introspection, and all things mystical were trendy.
This is the ring that senses your deepest feelings. Scientifically developed, the incredible chromostone senses thermal changes deep within your body.
Teenagers and children were drawn to the novelty and would lose their minds when the rings turned colors while trying to predict or explain their own emotional state. Even if it was mostly in your head, it provided a sort of a self-awareness and reminder to check your own feelings while trying to avoid a situation that could cause it to change colors in a negative way. It remains a nostalgic memory that transformed how people reacted to their environment. Polaroid instant photos were another magical thing that brought people together in the 70s. Not only perfect for events, they were events themselves and made sure you captured each moment no matter the setting.
Launched in 1972, the SX70 is a single lens reflex camera, which means that if I look out the viewfinder here, I will actually see what's coming through the lens here.
The click and whir sound of the camera with the blank-looking square film. And once you shook it in the air, it slowly developed into all of its color and glory. Unlike traditional cameras, there was no waiting time. You didn't have to drop off film for development, and it was a personal experience. When you took the picture, you got the image instantly. These photos made road trips exciting, though they're rarely used today. Due to major advancements in technology, they're some of the most authentic technologies of the time. Biking with banana seats on a hot sunny afternoon with friends was a daily ritual for kids. Bold, vibrant colors of the bike reflected in the sun as kids dashed down streets and alleys, stunting all the way and trying to mimic Evel Knievel.
How you feel?
All right.
You hurt yourself, did you?
No.
What happened?
Maybe my arm.
What happened?
Couldn't get going fast enough. Too big a bear.
Kids who owned a bike with a banana seat were the coolest on the block and would allow others to take turns riding their bikes in order of favoritism, of course. Helmets were not popular at the time, so you did without them, and many kids preferred the unstrapped freedom of riding around with the wind in their hair. This would lead to skinned knees and bruised elbows, but it never stopped us from returning the next day with a Band-Aid and a speed record to beat. One thing you'll remember about the 70s was Fonzie's heartwarming catchphrase, "Ay," from the popular 1970s show Happy Days. The Fonz effortlessly commanded attention with his boisterous swagger, which left all the ladies swooning. Known for his signature leather jacket, irresistible smirk, and catchphrase, he not only impressed, but he also evoked fear and panic in the bad guys. Fonzie was a character symbolizing the perfect man, performing a most dramatic entrance for someone who will always be the coolest guy in the room.
Well, yes, we all going to get out of here as soon as we have a cup of coffee. Wait, you see what the sheriff's got to say about that?
His charisma was enough to make fans jump out of their seats, and it almost seemed as though you could conquer anything with the right attitude. Bell-bottom jeans and fringe vests were an interesting combination, seen in discos and at parties, the go-to when you wanted to wear something rebellious because it easily stood out with the right colors. Bell-bottom jeans provided dramatic flair from the knee.
They're a cool way to represent how you feel in another type of style.
While the fringe vests added a touch of suede or leather that turned heads wherever you went. The groovy attire was worn by everyone from Jimi Hendrix to Elton John and more, inspiring a new age of fashion. Teens could go to parties with a fringe vest and bell-bottoms looking like their favorite rock stars, and the more outlandish the better. And if your outfit had a touch of earth tones, you looked even more fashionable. If you missed the 1970s, you may be curious as to why everything had an earthy color, from cars to home interiors and even electronics. Earth tones in every room and even on the walls. In the 1970s, we saw a rise in all things related to saving the earth and environmental awareness. Campaigns on ecological issues and events like Earth Day brought about change in human perspective. People decided to use earth tones for a variety of things, and they were a movement that became part of pop culture and everyday life. Home interiors were painted in avocado green, burnt orange, harvest gold, and more. And they were also practical and could effectively hide stains while making them perfectly durable. Over time, colors began to fade as brighter patterns began to trend, and earthy tones of the 70s will always be remembered for how they evoked feelings of warmth, environmental stability, and safety. Waterbeds were marketed in the 70s as the ultimate luxury and the pinnacle of modern living. Everybody wanted a waterbed because it looked sophisticated and comfortable. Those who were lucky enough to own one described the experience as soothing and akin to lying on a boat while being rocked to sleep. The free-flow waterbed was disturbing to sleep on. You'd feel every single wave and ripple, but the waveless models were more stable with compartmentalized water that reduced the waves. Children could bounce on the bed and be sure to have maintenance man on speed dial because the heating element could malfunction, leaving you on an icy cold bed. Let's not forget the possibility of a flooded home if there was a puncture. Waterbeds were undeniably cool and featured in many movies, remaining a symbol of extravagance even all these years later. Nothing captures the essence of the 70s like unfiltered music from vinyl records spinning. The days of massive stereo systems with glossy wood casings and a stack of vinyl albums, each one well stored in its colorful dust sleeve waiting to be picked.
Fantasy Records is selling all 1981 albums at cost, including all current hits.
The weather would determine what music went on, and it was fun to relax to afternoon jazz and evening blues with friends and loved ones. You'd handle the fragile record with care so as not to smudge the grooves or to drop it, and once it was placed on the turntable, the needle was dropped, and that soft crackle told you that it had connected with the groove and was time to immerse yourself in some classics. When each side ended, you'd flip the record to continue the party, and listening to vinyl records could be a personal or shared experience, and even the occasional skip only added to its appeal. Grape and orange soda cans provided a fizzy delight that made hot afternoons bearable. A staple in backyard barbecues, kids would fuss over who wanted which particular flavor.
Right big.
One thing was clear, the cans were a little different back then, made from a heavier aluminum and designed with a pull tab that popped right off. The small metallic ring was usually a plaything for kids, and designs on the cans were colorful and competitive, unlike some of the more conservative designs of today. Over time, detachable pull tabs became a litter problem. After every party, you would find hundreds of them on the floor. This also extended to sidewalks, parks, beaches, and roads, leading to the invention of the stay-on tab. The new one remained attached to the can after opening and reduced litter and safety hazards. Talking about hazards, how about aluminum lunch boxes with classic TV characters? These boxes were more than just a fashion statement, they were a status symbol, and children got excited when choosing a design for the start of the school year.
From 51 with Hopalong Cassidy to Rambo 1985, there were over 600 different lunch boxes produced.
What made these lunch boxes interesting were the adverts and graphics of cartoons, movies, and television shows, such as Scooby-Doo, Star Trek, The Brady Bunch, Muppets, and more. Children could compare and admire each other's designs in school. Something as petty as your lunchbox could determine if you were one of the cool kids or not. The metallic nature of the box helped keep the food warm, but the problem was that children used them as a weapon, which would lead to major concerns. Today, most lunchboxes are plastic or cloth, but they still come in awesome cartoon and TV characters. Remember roller rinks with disco lights, which were always packed full of teenagers on the weekends? The smell of popcorn and soft pretzels and faint noises of skate spinning was enticing. Teens could prepare for an evening of skate dancing under the massive mirrored disco ball suspended on the ceiling. The music set the mood for pedaling, and professionals could show off their exotic moves like spinning in circles, gliding effortlessly in a tight space, and choreographing the music.
Henry Miller, draftsman of an aircraft plant, is introducing his wife to roller skating.
The less brave skater held on to the side while slowly making their way around, but would often lose their balance, taking a few skaters down with them. The roller rink was a great option for date night, as lovers could move to the 70s gold music, and the roller rink always brought a fond memory of a hilarious fall, a warm atmosphere of fun, and unforgettable 70s hits. Did you ever pop open a box of cereal to find the prize inside? A reward for being a loyal customer? At some point, cereal box prizes became the highlight of every child's breakfast. It was no longer about having a taste of the new brightly colored sugary cereal. It was all about getting that gem that was inside of the box. It was fun to run downstairs on a Saturday morning and open a brand new box of cereal in hopes of finding a collectible, a toy, or something of value. Parents had to intervene when children fought over who found the prize first, but either way, it was a mixture of excitement, curiosity, and satisfaction.
I started it with a terrarium that comes in alphabets. I followed the directions and watched the seeds grow into little plants.
You've probably seen this bright yellow circle with minimalist black smile. This design is a global phenomenon and can be found on everything from t-shirts, phones, posters, and more. It's a smiley and one of the most influential symbols ever used. The smiley face craze began in the 1970s when businessmen Bernard and Murray Spain created and claimed rights to the simple smiley face, adding the phrase "Have a nice day." The product came at just the right time because it was a period of political and civil unrest. The smiley face was a glimmer in the dark, and many connected with the design and began to buy up all the merchandise they had. This included cups, shirts, wristwatches, mugs, and more, and it evoked a warm connection that brought good vibes and brightened up the mood. The smiley face was so popular it became tied to music and pop culture as a symbol of optimism and lighthearted humor. As a child of the 1970s, you couldn't wait to wake up and relax with a bowl of your favorite cereal for Saturday morning cartoons, featuring action-packed heroes like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and more. The uninterrupted freedom of having the television to yourself in the morning was a rush. That was assuming your mother didn't interrupt you with a chore. Saturday morning cartoons consisted of a wide variety of programs like the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, Bugs Bunny, and all your favorites.
Looks like we've got another mystery on our hands.
And the first thing to do is find Mr. Sims. And I bet he's in that ancient village.
For younger children, Schoolhouse Rock taught you lessons about life, while Conjunction Junction had you humming it all week long. Saturday mornings were a huge deal in the 70s, not only because of the freedom from school, but also hours of animation, which was the highlight of every child's day. Which of these 70s memories do you recollect? Let us know in the comments below. And be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss another great memory in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.